Hello, welcome back to Him Reads. As we continue with Felicity Saves the Day. Chapter 3, The Note in the Bird Bottle. During the months they had been apart, Felicity had often imagined what it would be like if she were ever with Penny again. But even in her dreams, she had not imagined how happy she would feel, or how content. It was as if something sad and longing in her had finally come to peace, all because Penny was back. "I have never seen two creatures so glad to be with one another," said Grandfather. He and Mother were watching Felicity make medicine to put a scrape on Penny's leg. "Aye," agreed Mother, "indeed, 'tis a pleasure to see." Felicity ground herbs with the pestle to make a smooth mixture, and she scooped up with some fingers and spread it on Penny's scrape. "The wound is healing well, Grandfather," she said. "You have done a fine job of caring for that horse," said Grandfather. She looks like a different animal entirely from the wild creature that she was 2 weeks ago. She's filled out, and her coat is as shiny as a bright copper penny," Felicity said. "Isn't Penny a love, Grandfather? She's so fast. And did she how well she accepted the side saddle?" "She took it better than I did myself." "You do look like a fine young lady upon her, Lissy, my dear," said Mother. "I wish your friend Elizabeth could see you. She would be so happy." Felicity felt a prick of sorrow. Elizabeth had sent her a lovely letter saying how happy she was that Penny was with Felicity again. But Felicity did not know if Elizabeth would ever see her with Penny. Penny was to stay on Grandfather's plantation when Mother and the children returned to Williamsburg at the end of August. After all, Grandfather owned her. Besides, if Felicity brought her back to Williamsburg, it might be dangerous. There was no telling what Mr. Nye would do. He was the man who had claimed to own Penny last fall. He had beaten and starved her. He might steal Penny away and hurt her again. But for now, Mr. Nye was far away, and Elizabeth spent every minute she could with her beloved horse. When she and Grandfather rode in the mornings, Penny was well behaved. She followed Grandfather's horse obediently and never fought the slow, steady pace. Their morning rides were such a pleasure. Felicity and Grandfather made them longer. Sometimes they followed the footpath as far as Phil Gates Creek. Once they even crossed the creek and rode all the way to where the paths split. One fork led to a little finger of land that stuck in the river called Sandy Point. The other fork led to Yorktown. After dinner, when Nan and William played and Grandfather and Mother rested, Felicity rode Penny to the huge upper pasture. The grass seemed to shimmer with heat, and the air was so dense and hot it felt solid. Felicity would lean forward and whisper, "Run, Penny, run as fast as you like." Penny would walk, then trot, then canter. Faster and faster Penny would fly, smooth as water, while Felicity held on tight, and the whole world was a brilliant blur around them. One steamy afternoon, as Felicity was riding Penny from the stable to the out pasture for their canter, she passed Nan and William. They had reeds and shells full of soapy water, and they were blowing bubbles up to the branches of a large old shade tree. "Lissy," said William, "when you passed the bird bottle, do you remember to look inside it? Maybe a bird has built a nest today." Felicity and Nan looked at each other and sighed. William had asked Felicity to look in the bird bottle almost every day, even though both girls had told him 100 times that birds don't build nests in the summer. "William," said Nan patiently, "you and Lissy looked yesterday. There is no nest in the bottle. There never is. There's never going to be anything in that bottle." William ignored Nan. "You'll look, won't you, Lissy? Promise?" "I promise," said Felicity quickly. She was impatient to go. She nudged Penny, and they trotted away. As they passed the smokehouse, Felicity glanced at the bird bottle to keep her promise to William, even though she knew there was nothing there. But to her surprise, Felicity saw something white in the bird bottle. She reined in Penny to stop and squinted at it. Was the sun playing tricks on her eyes? Felicity rode up for a closer look. There was something there. It was a scrap of cloth. Felicity put her hand in the bird bottle and pulled the cloth out. It looked like the corner of a handkerchief. It was wrapped around something hard, something like a stick. Quickly, Felicity unrolled the cloth. Out fell a wooden whistle. Felicity stared at it. She knew it was a signal whistle because she had seen Ben's. He had shown her how to blow it and how it was used to give commands to soldiers. In fact, the whistle looked exactly like Ben's. Whose was it? Why had someone put it in the bird bottle? Why was it wrapped in the scrap of a handkerchief that was stained with berry juice? Felicity looked at the students more closely and guessed. They were not stains at all. They were words written with a stick dipped in berry juice. Felicity read the words with a scrap of cloth. Felicity, come, help, Ben. Ben? Ben was supposed to be in Williamsburg. How could he have left this note for her? Where was he? If he was nearby, why didn't he come to the house? And why did he need help? Felicity's mind was spinning. Below the words on the scrap of cloth, Ben had made a rough map. The map showed grandfather's house, the river, and the woods. There was an X in the woods. That must be where Ben was. Felicity took a shaking breath. Suddenly, it was all clear to her. Ben was hiding. For some reason, he didn't want anyone but her to know where he was going. Ben wanted her to find him by following the map. She could blow his signal whistle so that he would know it was safe to show himself. Felicity did not stop to think anymore. She urged Penny to trot and went to look for Ben in the woods. Felicity and Penny entered the woods just behind the blackberry thicket. When they were deep in the woods, Felicity blew the signal whistle once, twice, 3 times. She heard Ben whistle in reply, and she rode toward the sound. It was not hard to find him, though he was well away from the riding path. He was propped up against a big tree. One leg was stretched out in front of him, wrapped in blue rags. Ben! Exclaimed Felicity. Benjamin Davidson, what on earth are you doing here? She lifted off Penny's back. What happened to you? Ben groaned and closed his eyes. Felicity stopped talking. She knelt to him and said quietly, Ben, tell me what you are doing. Ben opened his eyes. His face was sweaty and streaked with mud. I ran away, he said. You know I wanted to be a soldier and fight with the Patriots. 2 companies of soldiers from Virginia have already marched to Massachusetts to join the army of George Washington is gathering there. Ben took a deep breath. It's starting, Lissy, he said. General Washington is going to lead an army of patriots. We are going to fight the British. We're going to overthrow the rule of the king here in the colonies. I want to be part of that fight, but my apprenticeship agreement with your father, there won't allow it, he said. So, he repeated, I ran away. When? Asked Felicity. Night before last, answered Ben. I thought I could make it to the Yorktown Ferry and cross the river before I was missed. Felicity sighed. What went wrong? She asked. I knew I couldn't be walking along the main road for fear of being seen, said Ben. Still, I made a good time through the woods until I came to King's Creek. It was so dark, I slipped and fell when I was crossing the creek. I lost my pack of clothes and food and money, and I cut my leg on a sharp branch. Your leg looks bad, said Felicity. It must hurt. Ben shrugged. I knew I was not far away from your grandfather's plantation, and I knew I needed your help. I found my way here and slept by the tree. Yesterday, I sneaked up closer to the house. I saw you and William looking at the bird bottle, so last night I wrote you that message and hid it in my whistle in the bird bottle. I was hoping you'd find them today. I was very glad you did. I'm glad too, said Felicity. She stood up and dusted off her gown. Because now I can tell you how foolish I think you're being. I'm going to straight up to the house and fetch grandfather. Ben reached up and grabbed Felicity's arm. Don't, he said. Your grandfather's a loyalist. He thinks the Patriots are wrong. You can't tell him about me, Lissy. Lizzie yanked her arm away. Yes, I can. I'd be dishonest if I didn't. I can't keep a secret like this. She stopped away and swung herself onto Penny. Lissy, said Ben softly, that's Penny, isn't it? I got your letter saying she was here. You must be happy to have your horse back. Yes, said Felicity. Suddenly she stopped. She looked down at Ben. He was solemn. Lizzie remembered how Ben had helped her keep Penny a secret last fall. Ben had never told Mother or Father that Felicity was sneaking off every morning to ride Felicity. She had asked Ben to keep her secret, and if she had, how could she not do the same for him? Felicity spoke slowly. Very well, Ben, she said. I promise I will not tell anyone about you. You can trust me. I'll go back to the house now. I'll be back with some food and water and some medicine for your leg. Rest easily. I won't be long. She smiled at Ben a bit. You kept my secret. I shall keep yours. I promise. Ben smiled for the first time. I knew you would, Felicity, he said. You are a faithful friend. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.